Kathy Clement here with you today with, as I promised, a tutorial for this Proper Gentleman card folio. So many of you contacted me saying, please, please, please do a tutorial. So I did something I rarely do, and I created the same thing twice, although there are a couple of little minor differences. I was out of some materials, so I had to substitute, and Graphic 45 graciously sent me another set of the Deluxe Collector Edition. Thank you, Graphic 45. Amy and Shari and Jeff and Diane, you were so good to me. So this is a 5x7 folio with a 1/2 inch spine. We've used the Proper Gentleman Deluxe Collector's Edition. And in the tutorial, you will learn how to create this mitered frame using the border pieces from the collection and then add all these elements to it, and you'll learn all of that. So it flips up like this, and on the top of the interior is this really fun little pocket with some Tim Holtz paper dolls and a little chocolate treat tucked in along with a Tim Holtz quote chip. And then we come to this part, which is the little flip element, and there's a side pocket. And I did use some different papers and elements here because, as I said, I was out of some of the paper dolls and that sort of thing. But we've used the ATC die to create 3 little handsome little tags, and there's room on the back of each tag for small photos. So we'll create these together in the tutorial, and they come together so quickly. I think you're going to love the way that works. And then this flips over, and there's a little tuck spot over here with a bookmark, and the bookmark is double-sided. So that's fun, and that slips right in here. And then down on the bottom is this wonderful pocket, decorated up with chipboard and border elements from the collection. The ribbon is really reasonable ribbon, copper, ivory, and brown plaid, and it is just perfect for masculine projects. Over here I've created a little, I've used one of the laser cut tags, I think these are 4x4 3/4. They're the square tags, and this is a little gift card pocket. Here I've used the clock die just to set a background for our dapper gentleman and his dog. This has a magnetic closure, and you will learn how to create that. And then there's a little gift card pocket. Oops. Right here. So it's the first time that's been opened. Sometimes they're a little tight right at the beginning. And that tucks into this pocket. So it's a really fun design. You could adapt this to use with any collection, and stick around. We're going to do the tutorial. One thing I did change was on the background of the front, I did a layer of washi tape all along the edge of the card before I adhered my frame cover down, and I really love the way this looks. I have a linked supply list on my blog, and I will put that link below. So grab a cuppa, grab a snack, and let's get our craft on. Before we get started with this tutorial, let's just quickly go over what you're going to need for supplies. You're going to need the Proper Gentleman Deluxe Collector's Edition from Graphic 45, and this comes with the stickers and the chipboard, and we use both of those in the design. So if you don't have this but you have the original, you can use it, but some of the patterns are slightly different in the DCE, so just bear that in mind. You might have to substitute. You're going to need a scoring tool. You're going to need 3 sheets of good 110-pound craft cardstock. Now, when I originally built my tutorial, I used 18-point grocery bag from envelopes.com, which comes 13 by 19. But so that you could do this at home, I've cut it 8.5 by 11, so that if you only have 8.5 by 11, you can use that. So you're going to need that. You're going to need the Graphic 45 square tag and clocks die, and the large tag and ATC tag die. You're going to need 3 of their craft ATC tags, and I'm using the 2 from because I happen to have a ton of these in my stash. This gets covered up with patterned paper. If you don't have craft, you can use black. You could even use ivory and it would be fine. And then this is a square Inspire, Create, and I need to get the Inspire. I grabbed Create, but we want the one that says Inspire on the side. And then we want this ivory, copper, brown ribbon from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and a blue and white or a blue and cream stripe grosgrain. And I'll have links to all of these in my blog post. Then you're going to want some assorted charms. This is a steampunk charm from the Funky Junky Boutique, a Tim Holtz buckle, a bunch of Tim Holtz gears, and I threw in a little sentiment muse token and a little I forget what he calls these. They're some sort of clasp, but I'll name everything and link it in my blog post so you can find that there. Then you're going to need his quotations metallic stickers, which come both in the ivory and the black. And then I think these are called Chit Chat stickers. And I don't have duplicates of everything I used in the first one, so I'm having to substitute, but the basic project will be the same. And then these are his quote chips, Tim Holtz quote chips, and I just have an assortment of those, and Tim Holtz paper dolls, an assortment of those. And of course the usual suspects, your trimming tools, your fussy cutting scissors, all of that sort of thing. So let me clear this off. We'll come back. We'll start by building the base. To begin, you're going to need your 8.5 by 11 craft cardstock, and you're going to trim 2 sheets of it to a width of 5 inches and a height of 11. And I'm going to show you how to join these together with score tape. This is, before I found that large cardstock, this is how I did all my 5x7 card bases. So we're going to place 1/2 inch score tape along the very end of one piece. And just burnish that down. Remove the tape liner. And if you've got a little overhang of tape on the ends, just tap that back. Then bring in your second piece, and on the 5-inch ends, you're going to line this up using that score tape as a guide. And now you've got one long 5-inch panel, really long. But we can do anything with this, which is exciting. So place this on your scoring tool, and you're going to score at 7, and you're going to score a second time at 7.5. And that forms that 1/2 inch spine. And of course, if you want a 1-inch spine, you can go larger. If you want a 1/4 inch spine, you can go smaller. But burnish along those lines. Tuck this right up into the corner of your scoring tool, and then come back with your stylus, and you're going to score again at 7, and then you're going to score again at 10, and that is going, this 3-inch section here is going to be your pocket. So then bring your scoring tool in, your cutting tool in, and just cut right along that line. And now you've got sort of a built-in pocket with a 5x7 inch top fold base and a 1/2 inch spine. Now you know how to do that. Now, the next thing you need is this little flip element for the card. So for this, you need your 8.5 by 11 cardstock cut to measure 6 3/4 by 11. So place this on your scoring tool. Score this at 4 3/4 and again at 5 1/4. And then score another 1/2 inch over from that to 5 3/4. And this is going to be our flap. So this third score line, the score line is that is at 5 3/4. Put this on your cutting tool, and you don't have to be super precise here because this is just going to be adhered. This is just our flap mechanism. So score and burnish both of these. And this is going to adhere right here. And you're going to put this in, center it, put this in before you put your designer paper down. Then it will look like one seamless piece. Mine was one seamless piece because I was working that great big piece of paper, but you can make yours look like it was. Now, we also have this little pocket feature to score in. So with your scored lines on the left, put this back on your scoring tool. And let me see, this is going to be like this. We want this pocket. Okay, so come all the way over here to 4 and score. Then this is going to fold back. And you see, we just created our pocket. So you're not going to adhere this down yet. Wait on that because obviously you want to add your designer papers first. But we will go ahead and make the little gussets. So let me take one of these little pieces of paper. And our pocket is 1 3/4. I'm going to show you how to add these gussets. So trim this down to 1 3/4. And then cut 2 little 1-inch pieces. Are you hanging with me so far? And I'm having to kind of redesign this as I go along because this is just a little bit different than the way I put mine together, but not all of you have that. I'm going to use the scoring tool because this is so thick. Put this on your scoring tool and just score it in half. It's so heavy. Normally I just fold this, but this is such heavy card that scoring that line is probably a better way to go. So just fold these on the score lines in half. You see what we've got to make these little flaps. Then take your adhesive of choice. Place your adhesive with the fold facing out. Line this up along the side of your pocket, just like that. And then just repeat this on the other side. And if you're over a little bit at the top, you just trim that with a scissor. But that looks pretty good to me. So once again, just add your adhesive to one side. Put this right along the edge of that pocket. See? And then this will just fold like this, and that gusset allows those tags to fit in there quite nicely. But we're not going to glue this part down yet. I just wanted to do that in preparation. So now we're going to place adhesive on our 1/2 inch flap. We're going to bring in our 5 by 7 base, and we're going to center this with the inside of the card, top and bottom. right along that fold and burnish. Then when we fold this when we adhere this pocket down, everything works together seamlessly. So that is how you build this base. Not hard. Okay? So leave your pockets unadhered for the moment. Let me just show you how to cut up this clock page. I wanted this outer border to serve as a frame on my card. So I also wanted a pocket. So I cut just to the left of this large clock. And then just kind of whack this section out that has the 3 clocks. Trim these 2 edges up so that they're even. That will be important later when you join in the other pieces. Then just fussy cut this corner piece out. And when you fussy cut, you move the paper and you hold your scissors stationary. So it's like you're driving the paper through the blade of your scissors. That way you don't get a choppy look. You have nice edge and you have great control. And I'm going slowly. I hope I was in frame. From the rest of the border, we're going to use our paper trimmer. And if you have one of these where you can set the blade, this is easier. I highly recommend these. I want to cut over because I want to save that clock. And this takes a little practice, but get better at it. Like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So I'm using the bottom edge to get everything even. Pick up my blade. I'm going to cut from here to about here this time. There we go. So these are our frame, these will become our frame pieces. Set this aside, we'll use this when we build the card cover. Okay, so you're going to need, from your Proper Gentleman DCE, the Cultured Reserve paper, which has this nice plaid on the one side and the blueprint on the other. And we're going to cut this to measure 4 7/8 by, you can actually just go, let's see, 5, and you'll be fine because that pocket is going to cover. 4 7/8 by 5. And then because our pocket is 3 inches deep, we're going to cut the plaid to 2 7/8 inches, just like that. And while I have this out, this is 4 7/8 inches wide. So I want to cut 2 little strips of this. just under 1/2 inch in width. And we're going to use these to cover those spine pieces on the inside and the outside. So I'm going just 1/8 inch below 1/2 inch. So we've got those. And then we want to do the same thing with a longer piece. And this, I think we're going to need 2 of those because of the length of it. So these are going to be for this flap pocket, which is 6 3/4. So we want to go just a little bit below 6 3/4, like 1/8 inch below. So I've inked all my edges with ground espresso distress ink. I just like the dark, that really dark edge. And I'm going to start by adhering these little spine pieces. I always like to double check, make sure I haven't cut it too long, but that looks perfect. And you certainly don't have to do this. I just like how finished it makes everything look. I'm going to flip this, do the other one on the outside. But it's a matter of taste. I'm all about details. So I like to make sure all my details are in place. All right. And then on this spine here, and again, I want to do the flannel. This makes me think of a flannel shirt. Here, oops, that's centered, and on the outside I'll do the blueprint paper. All right, now we're going to put our liner piece down for this. Area, and see how this is going to just cover that flap right up. You're not even going to see it. And we're just going to add these to our pocket. Just like this. The adhesive on the other side. Make sure we're straight. I'm just going to bring in my bone folder to burnish these down. All right. And now our pocket liner. So that is that. All right, let's go ahead and decorate this pocket. And from, what is this one? A Proper Gentleman Borders. You want to cut out this border with the diamond print and the buttons. You want to cut out a 4 7/8 inch width piece of these 4 borders, the clocks, the hexagons, the blue diamonds, and the paisley. You want to cut out this piece in the center, and we're going to use those to, I think that's all of them. Yes, we're going to use these to decorate. So last time I used the buttons in the drawer, I decided I wanted a pop of red here because it's a lot of blue. And I just took the reverse, this is the reverse side of this image, and I liked the clock that was on it, and I just backed it with some waste chipboard, And we're going to center this and adhere it to the pocket. Then from the chipboard, punch out dashing. I've sanded the edges a little bit and inked them with that ground espresso. And I'm going to thread a little piece of this ribbon through, just like that. Then I'm going to take a piece of burlap string and just going to tie a bow. And now we're going to shape the ends on this bow. And to do this, just fold your ribbon in half. And from the open side, make an angle cut. So we'll do that again. Fold it in half. And this time I'm going to do it from the folded side. So I'm going to cut up. And now you can open these little tails out, and you've got these pretty little tails on your ribbon. And you don't have to add this detail, but I like the way it looks. Adhesive on the back. And I'm going to put this to the right of those clocks. I don't want to cover up those clocks. I really like those. So that is that. Now we'll build this pocket page on the top, and of the pinstripe, which I can't remember the name of it, but it's the only pinstripe in there, you're going to cut a 4 7/8 by 6 7/8 inch panel, and you want to cut this from the side. I will show you this. Cut this from the side where the business shirts are in the lower right hand corner, because that way you've got your little images on the side to use on those ATC tags that we're going to build in a bit. So line this up and adhere it. Stay above the fold. That's kind of crucial. Okay, we're good. And now this is that piece that we cut from the borders. And you can see you've got a little bit of that on there, but it's not a big deal. And I'm not going to build a gusset for this because we're only putting one little thing into this pocket. If you want to build a gusset, you go right ahead. And this goes down at the bottom. Just like that. Then we take our Tim Holtz paper doll, and we want to make it look like he's sitting here. This guy's a little bit smaller. I didn't have any more of the really big. This is the medium size. So I kind of mark this with my fingers, and I'm only going to put adhesive on the legs because otherwise we can't open our pocket. And then above him, we've got our beautiful diamond print with the 3 buttons, and I've trimmed this also to 4 7/8. And this is going to form our border at the top. So now you've got this lovely pocket, and it just looks really decorative. I like it. So that's that. So we can put this small one up here with our guy. And to color these, you just sponge on. You can use whatever color you like. So we're going to add this up here. Good positive saying. Actually, let's do these guys. And that's going to go just below the fold. We need to make our tag, but before we do that, I'm going to show you to cover this piece. This is the 3-inch, and I've lost my ruler. This is that 3-inch by 6 3/4. So you're going to cut 2 7/8 by 5 7/8 of this blue plaid. Now let's go to work on our tag. To make this tag insert, you need your square tag with the Inspire on the back. You're going to need your square tag die, and you're also going to use the clock dial. I decided to dress it up a little bit. And begin by die cutting this blue pinstripe piece with the die, and we're going to add this to the back of our tag. And this, the reason we do this is it's going to make these letters pop. And I'll just show you very quickly, when I do these, I like to center around that grommet first. And then if you get that centered, the rest of it is pretty easy to adjust. To cover the front, this is so simple. This is just a 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of this red that I scored in half at 2 3/4, I believe. Yep, to make this little book. And then this is going to sit right down in here. And we're going to add magnets. This is a negative. We're going to peel the sticky off. I'm going to put it on the back side here. That's going to find itself right there, which press that in place, open it, and now take a little piece of score tape and put it over this magnet just to make sure it stays in place. You've got your magnet placed, just cut a little scrap. This is 2.5 by 3.5 of just cream cardstock, and this is a great spot for journaling, to add a quote, to add a greeting, and that's just going to go right over centering this. Then we're going to adhere this part right onto the tag. And I don't like to put adhesive over, liquid adhesive over my magnet because it interferes with its strength. So I'm just going to put a little piece of score tape there just to make sure he stays where he's put. And then we're just going to add this so that it's even. Get a little border along the side. And now we've got a little magnetic closure. So now, from that other border piece, the 3 buttons, I've cut this to fit. And let's put it on the left this time just for the fun of it. And let's round the corners. Why not? Just on the outside edge. Just like that. So adhere that. Now we've got our paper doll. Isn't that funny? It's a guy paper doll. And we've got our clock. And I'm just going to put my clock down first. So I'm just going to add some random dots of glue around this. Get my 12 at the top edge. And I'm just going to put this down. This is Dries Clear adhesive, which I love, because if I have a little overage, you're not even gonna see it. And then we're gonna take our Dapper Gent and his pup, and we're gonna glue them down. Just like that. Let's take, this is cute, a proper gentleman. That looks great. This is not the same ribbon that I had in the original. I ran out of that and there isn't any more of it available. But this is going to do just fine. And these are my ribbon scissors. I keep one pair of scissors that the only thing I ever use them for is cutting ribbon. And that way they always stay sharp. And when I store my ribbon, here's a neat tip. I've cut mat board, into 1.5 by 3¼ inch strips, and then I just wrap my ribbon around that and secure it with a rust-proof pin. Easy. And then again, we're just going to tie a square knot here. I realized I forgot to show you how to put the gift card pocket here. So I just used this little debonair drawer pull from the border page and rounded the corners on the outside edge, and we're just going to put a tiny bit of glue, really just the tiniest bead, and then center this top and bottom along that edge, and it's just the right size to hold a gift card. Slip right in there, nice as you please. So that finishes that off. Now this will slip right into this pocket, nice as you please. All right, let's go ahead and make this bookmark. So I've just stitched this panel onto this, hold on, 2 3/4 by 6 scrap of that nice heavyweight craft paper. And you don't have to stitch it. You can go ahead and just adhere that with glue. If you do stitch it, I like to cover the back so you don't see the back side of the stitching. So I just cut this barely under 2 3/4 by 6.5, and then this one is just 1/8 inch smaller, so 2 5/8 by 5 7/8. Sorry, this is 6. So 2 3/4 by 6. And then from the border sheet, there's this piece that has the car. We can put the car down here, which I really do like, and I think I'm going to do that. On the original project, I used the bowler hats and the collars and the umbrella and the walking stick. But I kind of like the pop of color we get from the car. And you are going to have to trim this down to fit because it is a little bit wider. It's 3 inches, so you're going to have to just trim it to fit. Now, to create our tuck spot, from this clock page, we're just going to take our scissors, whack this guy out. Even up the edge, top and bottom. And I'm just trimming the tiniest bit off to make that even. And then once again, we're just going to fussy cut around this clock. In our card base, and right along this side, and you can do it down lower, you can do it, I like it right in the middle. You just add a thin bead of adhesive, or say 1/8 inch score tape, but you want to leave that open edge, because that way your bookmark will be able to tuck behind. We're just going to let that dry while we finish out the bookmark. So bring in your sticker sheet and punch out the frame. And we're not going super dimensional with this because this is a bookmark after all. It has to be fairly flat so that it will go in the book. Then our reading guide. Then I'm going to pop out these green corner pieces to go just inside my stitched edge. Tabs go at the top. So take out both dashing and debonair, figure out which one you want on the front, which one you want on the back. Center those just above your stitched line because you want all that work to do that stitching. Flip it over. And this is the part that will stick out of the book, making it easy to find your place. And I think that's great. I don't think I'm going to do a single other thing to this except just tuck it into its tuck spot where it belongs. And I'm going to let that glue set up because heaven forbid that we end up gluing our bookmark into the tuck spot. But now you know how to make the bookmark. Now we're going to decorate this little tag pocket and the tags. So I want to just talk a little bit about the placement of this die for covering these little ATC tags. The first one I placed right along the edge of this clock on the clock page. And I just secure these down with a little piece of Scotch tape, then run them through my die cutting machine. And then the next one is from this pinstripe paper, and I lined it up along the edge to get these two gentlemen in suits in. So that's the second one. The third one is just this print, and then I fussy cut this gentleman in the suit and glued him over the top. And then you also want to cover the backs of these tags, and I cut the backs all from this pinstripe. Here are our tags, and we are ready to decorate them. So for this guy, my fingers are dirty because I've been inking. So we're going to use a bowler hat up here in the corner. And on this one, we're going to do bowler hat and a clock. And put the clock right side up. And then we'll put a cuff link up there. All right, from the sticker sheet, pull this, and we're going to lay it on the diagonal across this tag, and then just trim off the ends. So there's one done. For the pocket watch, we're going to take the ticket of the three gentlemen and just adhere it to the side. This is why I love the sticker elements. I just think they're fantastic. We're going to add the word debonair right below. So that one is done. Add the word smashing down here. And let's do the two clocks up in the corner. Or maybe just one clock. I think that's good. So those are ready to go in the pocket. Now we're going to make this pocket. So again, you want to cut a piece, and there's no point in wasting designer paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this wonderful border. It's the perfect width. And I'm going to trim this to 6 3/4 inches. Now we can adhere these pocket flaps. Just like that. And again, you really have to burnish these down. I'm just going to make a little pencil mark to show me where to trim this out. Here and here. I can actually get the whole word in. And I know this is different than the one I originally made, but you know what, people? I don't like to make the exact same thing twice. So this is giving you all the principles you need to make this wonderful card folio. And you can decorate it however you please. But I love adding text to, yeah, I really like the way that looks. Oops. Center that. So it ends up being 6 3/4 inches tall, but it the width is not quite the same, but I actually really like the way that looks. And then our 3 little tags are going to snug up in here. And they are going to stick out slightly from the front, but that doesn't bother me. I want the blue tags on the outside. And the clock tag in the center. So this is what we have now. Now we can start work on the cover.